Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Nate here. And in Skyrim, there's probably to the tune of hundreds to thousands of different items and magical powers for the Dragonborn to find and put to use. From Daedric swords to spells that set ablaze your enemies, there seems to be no end to what the player can acquire. However, what if I were to dramatically tell you that there are some objects and spells that exist within the game's files that the player is unable to obtain? Such inaccessible material is generally cut content only the developers themselves were supposed to have access to, or items exclusive to certain NPCs only. Well, today we are going to be exploring this topic yet again, for the second time in 2 weeks, because I corrupted the other video I was working on, as we take a look at 5 unobtainable items in The Elder Scrolls V. Starting off, we have Transmogrifi. This seemingly cut illusion spell with the base cost of 100 magicka would have allowed the Dragonborn to turn a target, or targets, into chickens for 30 seconds. Its effects are rather similar to those of the Wabbajack staff, which, when used, would have the chance to turn an enemy into a chicken, among other random animals and objects. Do keep in mind, using this spell in a populated area will typically invoke a hostile response from any witnesses, and give you a bounty, so be very mindful of your surroundings. Once a target is chickenified, you can attack them. However, immediately upon taking any damage at all, these chickens will revert back into their normal forms at full health. So this spell isn't exactly very useful for combat situations, though you can use it if you're trying to make a quick escape. Furthermore, surprisingly enough, Transmogrifi can be applied to corpses as well, briefly turning them into live chickens, until the spell wears off and the target reverts back into being a dead corpse. The spell does not function on guards, however. When applied on any hold guard, a new chicken will still spawn into the game, however the guard themselves will be unaffected. It's a shame Bethesda never put this spell into the game. Perhaps they were being a bit too chicken. Oh, I'm sorry. Next is the Executioner's outfit. This unacquirable set of attire is worn by the Imperial Executioner that tries to decapitate you at the beginning of the game. Being one of the first armors you ever see, I was kind of excited to try it on when I first started playing. However, you're never given the chance to. You'll be unable to loot the armor off of the Imperial Headsman's body. Furthermore, there is one other NPC in the game with Executioner armor, Atar, the Executioner of Solitude. However, once you kill him, you'll notice that you can't loot his armor either, so you're in a bit of a pickle. Thankfully for us though, there's console commands. Altogether, this entire set, from the hood to the boots, will sell for about 930 septims, offer a grand total of 0 damage protection, and weigh you down by 2 carry weight. So it's not exactly a particularly practical armor to wear. I was interested to see how this armor changed when applied to the opposite gender. However, when used on female NPCs, the Executioner armor, hood, and boots will all instead use the models of the shrouded armor from the Dark Brotherhood, while the gloves will use the skin of Forsworn gauntlets. However, if you're playing as a male character and want to look intimidating but don't actually want to be protected, this is definitely the armor for you. At number 3, we have the Conjure Spectral Dragon spell. This adept conjuration spell costs 44 magicka, and summons a spectral dragon, or fireworm as they're called, for 30 seconds to fight alongside the Dragonborn. Fireworms do make an appearance in the vanilla game. They're temporary companions that can be summoned from enemies that are killed with fire breath when the player is using the Dragonborn flame power. However, for all of that work, they're fairly useless, and you're unlikely to come across them that often unless you're really trying to. This cut spell would have allowed them to be summoned more directly and at a pretty low cost, making them more efficient. As a companion, the mythical creature's preferred method of attack is simply lighting your opponents on fire for some time, doing some pretty considerable damage. Additionally, fireworms summoned with this spell will not invoke a hostile response from nearby NPCs, whereas vanilla fireworms do exactly that, oftentimes making them quite the hassle. Fourth on our list is a pretty wacky piece of apparel that was obviously never intended to meet player hands. This armor piece's ID is referred to in the game as Word Chest, and force equipping it through the console will result in some pretty strange occurrences. Once put on, a weird series of tentacles will begin to envelop the player. They seem to be emerging from a stretched book mesh that's a part of this armor piece. Word Chest seems to have something to do with Apocrypha, Hermaeus Mora's realm that you visit in the Dragonborn DLC, which is characterized partially by the abundance of the same creepy, oily tentacles. When equipped, the armor's effects are not present in first person, thank God. However, they're quite difficult to ignore in third. Furthermore, Word Chest actually counts as an armor that's supposed to take up the player's chest apparel slot. However, behaves in a way that still allows the player to equip other chest armors over it, so you can be covered in tentacles no matter what armor you feel like wearing. Additionally, surprisingly enough, Word Chest also boasts an armor rating of 23, which isn't particularly bad, a weight of 5 points, and value of 50 gold. though you cannot access it in inventory screens, making it impossible to sell. Though, let's be honest, not many merchants would jump at the idea of selling this alongside their vegetables. Before we get to our final spot, I have two honorable mentions that I'd like to show off. The first of which is the sleeved Stormcloak Cuirass. This item is in the game's files and bears the same stats as standard Stormcloak armor. The only difference is in the sleeves. In the release version of the game, Stormcloak and Guard Cuirasses are sleeveless, but Bethesda was evidently experimenting with a much less revealing option. I personally like this look a bit better than vanilla armor, but that's just me. Our other honorable mention goes to Colovian Brandy Temp, which is a uniquely named wooden bucket that probably served some purpose during development and Bethesda just forgot to delete it. Colovian Brandy Temp sells for 0 gold and has a carry weight of 2, so not exactly a hot commodity. And finally, last on our list, we have General Falx Carius' armor set. Falx Carius is an Imperial Thrall, located in the Necromancer overrun Fort Frostmoth, on the island of Solstheim. He's met during the quest March of the Dead, where you have to battle and kill this zombie-like figure. Now, Falx Carius was actually a living Imperial captain you can meet back in the Elder Scrolls 3. However, evidently he must have died, and in Skyrim you find out that his corpse has been dug up by a Necromancer, who brought him back to life using a Heartstone, and now wishes to harness him for their own personal bidding. But this Frankensteinian tale is not our concern today. Instead, I'm interested in the unique chest piece that this character wears. Falx Carius' Imperial armor has a unique design, similar to that of General Tullius's, though considerably darker in color, and also includes a spot for a Heartstone. When I first encountered this character, I immediately fell in love with his attire, and was ecstatic to kill him and take it for myself. Alas, suffice it to say, I was pretty disappointed to discover that Falx Carius' armor cannot be looted from his body, and considering it's obviously not found anywhere else, the player never gets a chance to don this badass looking apparel. Thankfully, console commands are a thing, and have solved our dilemma. When spawned into the game, Falx Carius' armor will be missing the Heartstone, and appear to just have a giant hole within it. That's because his Heartstone acts as a separate piece of also unobtainable armor that must be force equipped as well. The Heartstone will behave as a necklace and can be worn separately from the armor if you wish, for some pretty interesting results. General Carius' armor will provide 31 base protection, a value of 65 gold, and carry weight of 18 points, while his Heartstone will offer 0 protection, 0.5 weight, and a value of 120 coins. When equipped on a female body type, Falx Carius' armor will revert into using the same mesh as General Tullius' armor, though right now I'm using a mod that also makes Tullius' armor look a bit different as well. The armor also has a weird way of looking pretty cool on other races as well, like Argonians and Khajiits. However, you might notice some minor clipping issues. Falx Carius also has his own personally renamed Heavy Imperial Helmet, Heavy Imperial Bracers, and Heavy Imperial Boots, though again, there's nothing special about them other than their name. Now, I did mention that you can meet Carius in the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind's Blood Moon expansion. He was a pretty prominent character. If you're interested in learning more about that, I'll include some links in the description down below. But on that note, we're going to wrap up. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed this video, like ratings are as always very much appreciated. And what unique or unobtainable items do you know of in Skyrim that I haven't covered in this video or the one prior? Leave a comment down below. Again, thanks for stopping by, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everyone.